Ah, the great wise El Jefe. Well, y'all have seen me all morning in my White Sox gear and the shirt and the hat and this, as I showed at the top of the show, the Ultimate White Sox Trivia book. These are all gifts from my beloved Dr. K. She surprised me with that this morning. All of our guests appear via the Invader Coffee hotline. Are you ready to upgrade your coffee game? Prepare for an invasion of flavor with Invader Coffee. It's the caffeinated elixir that fuels champions, the blend that pushes boundaries. Whether you're battling deadlines or exploring uncharted territories, Invader Coffee has your back. Join the invasion at invadercoffee.com and taste the difference for yourself. Use the code Snowman for 15% off of your first order. And the Mexican chocolate blend, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is the brew for today. And speaking of brew, the AFL has got something brewing, and here's a guy to tell you what's going on. A while since we had him on, but we got him on this morning. This is Sam Shady, the man in charge of the Shady Sports Network. Good morning, my man. Great to have you back.
Good morning, Brian. I'm excited to be back. And, between you and I, go Sox.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You teased me with this because you know I'm a fan of the Arena Football League, and I was sad when they went bust for a while, but they've got their host cities name, do they not?
They do. They do. And I'm particularly excited. Colorado, for the first time in 6 seasons, will have an alternative football team once again. It sounds like they're bringing a team to Denver. I've already started to do my research on the possible arenas that they could play in, so we can get into that a little bit if you like. But there's going to be quite a few, I want to call them legacy cities coming back.
Yep.
Like Louisiana is going to have a team again, although it's going to be in Lake Charles, not necessarily New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Tallahassee, Tennessee. There was West Texas Warbirds are moving over from the National Arena League,
Nice.
which was the same league that had housed the Empire, the Albany Empire that folded due to Antonio Brown. You also have, we believe, the Orlando Predators. They just had a shakeup in ownership, and it was believed that was due to the decision to join the AFL. And there's a team listed in the AFL's website from Orlando. So kind of connecting the dots there. I'm trying to find the graphic at the moment. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Philadelphia is getting a team, so I expect that to be the Soul once again. Georgia's getting a team. Chicago. A lot of these legacy cities, like I was talking about, and I'm firmly excited. I mean, to get a bunch of the cities back that were in the original league that really built up the Arena Football League into what it was, are coming back, and that's, to me, the most important thing they could have done.
Well, one place I was so excited to hear that they're getting an arena football team is Chicago, because of course the Chicago Rush won the Arena Bowl in 2006 in Las Vegas, and they're getting a team back. Of course, they were one of the originals with the Chicago Bruisers. They played at the Rosemont Horizon, and what's also exciting to me is that St. Louis is getting an arena team.
Yeah, that to me is very interesting. I mean, St. Louis just got the XFL team. Now they're getting an arena football team, so it's going to be very interesting to see if those two kind of affect each other at all. I don't think they will, but it'll be interesting to see. And to run down the rest of the cities now that I got the graphic in front of me, you got Austin, Boise, California, Chicago, Colorado, Minnesota, Louisiana, Ohio, Orlando, Oregon, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Tallahassee, Tennessee, Washington, and then West Texas.
What are some of the cities on that list or places on that list that you thought would get a team, but then was just confirmed that they got one?
Well, I had a feeling that we would see a couple National Arena League teams make the jump. To be completely honest, I wasn't entirely correct on the ones that I was guessing. I did not think West Texas would make the jump. I didn't think they had the financial backing to make it work. The
Right.
AFL is much more expensive than the NAL,
Hmm.
much more expensive. And then Orlando, I didn't. They were a team that I had kind of wondered might make the move, but I thought Albany would be one of these cities, which
Yeah.
um, that was based on some things Antonio Brown had said.
Hmm.
So I guess given the fact that you can't really trust anything he says, I
True.
should have known better. But I'm glad to see New Orleans getting a team back, or Louisiana anyway. I
Hmm.
think that was a really good decision. I knew they were going to probably get a team. I'm super happy to see Chicago's getting a team back. The Rush were always well supported back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be completely honest, I'm a little shocked that Colorado's getting a team. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. I
Hmm.
expected that one of the things that I really expected from the Arena Football League was for them to target teams that are already established,
Right.
because that reduces cost. You know what you're getting in the ownership groups. But the thing is, the the level of arena football that they're trying to bring to fans these days
Hmm.
is, I don't want to say higher than what we get, but realistically it is, because they're trying to pay these players somewhere in the range of $20,000 for a season, which I know isn't a lot of money by anybody's standards, but at the same time, when you look at other arena football leagues, or indoor football leagues, it's a drastic gap from what the other leagues are paying. So that in itself kind of limits what teams you can target that are already existing.
Why do you think it's such a gap between the Arena Football League and other leagues? Why do you think it's such a gap in pay?
To be completely honest, I think it's the aim that the Arena Football League has. I mean, they're trying to get back to what it was, once
Mm.
upon a time in the early 2000s when they had a TV contract, which it's rumored that they have a contract already. It has not come out yet, but it should be coming soon, apparently. Um, that's probably the big difference, would be the TV contract, and that's what's making it possible for them to pay such a gap. But I would caution anybody who thinks that the AFL is going to hit the ground running. That
Mhm.
might not be the case. I mean, it almost never is when it comes to indoor football.
Yeah.
Typically, there's some bumps in the road anytime a new league starts. I fully anticipate the AFL will have the same thing. And the IFL is right there, top of the list, kind of playing, for lack of a better term, the USFL business model, where they're kind of
Mhm.
trying to not necessarily cut costs, but keep costs as low as possible, make sure the business model is sustainable for the long term. And then they're kind of doing the slow burn method, where they know they'll continue to gain fans as long as they continue to do what they do, but they're not trying to necessarily be in your face, drop the kind of money on promotion and media advertisement that the AFL is most likely going to.
What arenas do you think would be a possibility for Denver to call home?
So there's actually three right off the top of my head. There might be a fourth one. I haven't really looked into it too much because I don't think it's as viable.
Mhm.
The first one off the top of my head, and really for the budget these teams are trying to have, which is roughly $2 million a year, um, I really think that Ball Arena is their best bet.
Mhm.
That's obviously the arena that houses the Colorado Avalanche, the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Mammoth. It's 21,000 capacity. I think that you're going to be able to pay the bills a little bit better with those 21,000 seats. But the thing is, do you get 21,000 fans right away? And that's the
Right.
big question. So if you're paying this extra amount to basically have twice the staff for this 21,000 seat arena, are you getting the return from the fans that are showing up? Um,
Very true.
a middle ground option would be the Denver Coliseum. I know they've housed indoor football teams before, but it's only been 2 years in the entire history of the facility. But that's about 10,200 seats. I would imagine it's much cheaper to lease. I also know that staffing wise, it's probably about half as much staff, so that's going to be a little bit cheaper as well. Um, it's not any harder to get to. It's right smack dab in the middle of Denver. You're not going to lose anything as far as fans not wanting to drive any further or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one third option, which I personally like, but I don't think it's financially viable. It's a 7,200 seat stadium or arena. I believe the basketball and hockey configuration is 6,300, so that really kind of limits your earning potential there. But it would be Magnus Arena with DU, Denver University.
Yeah.
And basically the time in which the Arena Football League is expected to play, there's almost nothing going on there. And it would be realistically probably a really good moneymaker for the university.
Sam Shady joining us here, talking all things Arena Football League and its relaunch. Are you surprised to not see Jacksonville, Florida on that list?
I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised only because the Jacksonville Sharks are one of the best teams in any indoor football league. It doesn't matter. They've been traditionally very solid. The ownership group has had little to no issue in terms of wavering on their stance on the team. It seems like every year there's no doubt that they're coming back. So I really thought that would be a franchise that the AFL really, really targeted and tried to go hard for.
Yeah.
And they probably did, but unfortunately it fell through.
Yeah, I'm just sad to not see Jacksonville. I'm sad not to see Jacksonville here on the list, and what I'm also sad not to see, the Arizona Rattlers, Phoenix, Arizona, not be on the list either.
That was one of the teams that I had a huge hunch would be in this league. If for anybody who was paying attention, the Twitter account, the AFL Twitter account, was listed as headquartered in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And then when this new league or when the new ownership group bought the rights and really started to amp up on promotion and Twitter and all that, they changed the headquarters from Philadelphia to Arizona. And immediately I was like, I wonder if the Rattlers are coming back. But
yeah,
unfortunately, like you, I'm kind of disappointed that they're not back, because that's one of those franchises that we talked about. It's a legacy franchise. It's a franchise you know about because of the fact that they played in the AFL once upon a time. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting to see them not make the jump, but that doesn't mean we don't see other IFL teams make the jump. With the playoffs not yet wrapped up for the IFL, I don't expect to get any news about any of their teams jumping until after the season's completely over. But I would expect that a couple weeks after the season ends, we might get a couple of announcements from one or two IFL teams making the leap.
A couple other teams that I want to get your thoughts about. You talked for most of this about legacy teams and the Arena Football League, and one legacy team I have a question about, and I wish they would come back because they're one of the teams that piqued my interest when I first started watching, the Iowa Barnstormers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was another team that, to be completely honest, I never expected them to end up in the league. Luckily for me, I have a very good connections down in Iowa, or up in Iowa, I guess. I'm a little bit further south than them. But, yeah, I just never heard any chatter about it whatsoever. In fact, I think even a couple people within the organization had their doubts about the new league in general. But it's just one of those things where you kind of hope, only because of the fact, like you said, the Barnstormers are known because of the AFL. They're known because of what Kurt Warner did and what so many others did back in the original league. And, they're one of the big name teams, one of the teams that kind of carries the IFL. So I think the IFL probably, kind of got out ahead of some of this and told their teams, hey, we really want you back. We'll do whatever it takes. And, we need you. So I think Iowa was probably one of those teams that they made a strong push to keep in the IFL.
Yeah. I wanted to see the Arizona Rattlers, the Iowa Barnstormers. Chicago's getting a team, so that pleases me. Don't know if they're going to be called the Bruisers, which is their original name, or the Chicago Rush, which is their championship name. They won Arena Bowl 20, as mentioned, in Las Vegas. For Chicago, I would think they would either play at Wintrust Arena in downtown Chicago, or they once again hit the Rosemont Horizon out in Rosemont. Your thoughts?
I mean, either would be good, but yeah, if it's me, I'm trying to go back to the arenas that once housed these teams. But it all
Yeah.
depends on your attendance projections. I mean,
Hmm.
that's really what this all boils down to. I mean, if you expect that these cities are going to give you 15,
Yeah.
20,000 fans, you need to plan for that. But I would caution again that they're going to probably have a slow start. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, as a diehard arena indoor football fan, I'm not quite sure what to make of this league yet. A lot of these teams, like I said, they're coming up out of the blue. There was no, or you're getting a completely new ownership group we may not have ever seen in indoor football before, and that can always kind of be tricky. You never know what you're going to get from a new ownership group or a new league, and I really think that that's going to be one of the most interesting storylines about this all. If we see the AFL come out and have immediately, you know, even if it's a situation where you see in the first couple weeks they have 8 to 10,000 fans on average at a game,
Hmm.
that's a huge win for them, and that's already proving that they're right where they want to be and trending in the right direction. They'd also probably make the USFL a little bit jealous.
One more city I want to, one more city's arena I would love to explore with you before we go to break, and that's St. Louis. Would they play in the Enterprise Center where the St. Louis Blues call home, or would they play somewhere else?
That's going to be really interesting to watch as well. I mean, obviously, we know that they could go really big if they wanted to and try and go in the dome. I don't think that's ever going to
Hmm.
happen. That'd be way too much for an arena football team. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really think that you're probably hitting the nail on the head there. That would be a great venue for them. Perfect size. That's probably exactly where they're going to land, quite honestly.
Sam Shady joining us here on the program, talk all things Arena Football League. Sam is back, and we love having him back. It's been such a joy. It is such a pleasure, and I thank you for coming on, my friend. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate coming on. I know I've been gone for a little bit due to the time change and everything, but I'm excited to be back on here. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Brian. As I have nothing but respect for you and Cole, and I've, I wanted to be a part of this show, and I'm glad to be back. So thank you once
Uh,
again for having me.
we are absolutely honored to have you back. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. We love you. We'll talk.